Welcome back to another episode of Forgotten Fridays on TaylorMade Rides. And today's special vehicle is the Hudson Hornet. Now, you may say, that's not a forgotten vehicle at all. Well, at one point, it was. Now, this car has been brought back by Pixar in the Cars movies, but there was a time where this was an absolute racing legend and NASCAR king. And Pixar revived this bad boy. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit about it, some engine specs, some of the people who raced it. Herb Thomas, one of the most legendary racers of all time, go over some specs and why it was killed off, and then how it became revived and brought back. So, hopefully you enjoy. Stay tuned, and we'll start. The Hudson Hornet was first introduced in 1951, and this is kind of the design that we're all familiar with thanks to Pixar in the Cars movie. Now, it was sleek, low, wide at the time compared to a lot of the other cars. Well, quite frankly, those cars were all a little bit wide, but this one had a unique design. It also was a lot lower than the other ones due to Hudson's step-down platform idea where the floor pans in the frame were together. Now, typically cars of the day, the floor, the cab, the car, if you will, sat on top of the frame, and so they all sat typically a little bit higher. Hudson lowered that down and made the frame and the floors parallel and equal. Now, this gave them a better advantage when driving on the racetrack.
Marshall Teague and McGrath in the first row. Jim Rathman and Johnny Mance next. Norm Nelson in number 4. Sam Hanks in 71. It's going to be a fast, non-stop 100-miler. McGrath set a new...
It made it so they could handle better, lower center of gravity. And they paired that with a whopping powerful straight six. The engine at the time was a legendary 308 cubic inch straight six. And at the time in 1951, this was the biggest straight six that you could get in the world. Hudson paired that up with two twin H powered carburetors. They made together the whole package a whopping 170 horsepower and 275 pound-feet of torque. And again, 1951 times we're talking here. Now, this wasn't just about power. That low center of gravity and balanced weight gave it incredibly good handling for such a big American car. Its top speed was around 110 miles an hour, with the 0 to 60 time in 12 seconds. Now, that's a pretty big car going 12 seconds to 0 to 60. 0 to 60 in 12 seconds. That's pretty impressive. Now, the dominating factor in NASCAR, kind of where it's got its name and rich history, it crushed NASCAR. It dominated between 1951 and 1954. It won over 80 races and 3 NASCAR championships, solidifying it as one of the greatest race cars of all times. Drivers like Herb Thomas, Marshall Teague, Tim Flock made the Hornet legendary on the track. They were great drivers, and controlling in such a great car made that unstoppable. It became known as the fabulous Hudson Hornet, as we all know today, and its straight six power embarrassed plenty of other V8s at the time. It was a killer out there. Now, the fall of the Hornet here, and this is kind of how we got to the forgotten side of it. It didn't last long. By the mid to late 50s, Hudson was struggling. They merged with Nash, a company you may not even have heard of, and formed American Motors Corporation, or AMC, and that was in 1954. The original Hudson factory in Detroit closed at the time, and the real Hudson themselves disappeared after 1954. By 1957, Hudsons were basically rebadged as Nashes. The performance, the identity, and the souls of all those classic racers were essentially gone. There was nothing left. By 1958, it was completely killed off. So they had a very short run from the 1951 race car modeling years where they crushed it out there to not even to 1960, they were dead. And now the comeback. Between that time and when Pixar came out in 2006, they released Cars. That car was forgotten, if you will. By some, you could argue it was never, but a lot of people didn't realize this car until that movie came out. Now, for decades, the Hudson name was forgotten outside of classic car circles. 2006, like I said, Cars was released. I'm sure we all remember a lot of that. And suddenly, Hudson became famous again as Doc. Now, he was voiced by Paul Newman, and we all know that familiar voice. Amazing character. For a whole new generation, the Hudson became a symbol of racing once again and old school cool. Even Dodge revived the Hornet name recently, but the original still stands true as an American legend. And that right there is why we called it, our Friday Forgotten, because there was a very long time there where it was simply just in a past race car, a race legend, if you will. Now, the Hudson had style, performance, and dominance, then vanished almost overnight. But legends don't stay buried forever. What you know it as a NASCAR hero or as Doc Hudson, the Hornet proves one thing: real performance never dies. Would you daily a Hudson Hornet or just keep it as a showpiece? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you've ever had one, and let me know if there's a vehicle you would like to see as well. If you thought this video was cool, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.